Okay, is that better? Okay, sorry. Saves me from shouting. Okay, I'll just move on just now. As I say, this was going to be a video which was going to just highlight Brewdog and really just, encompass everything that we're all about. But for those of you who aren't really familiar with Brewdog, we started back in 2007. And we were founded by two guys called James Watt and Martin Dickey. And these were two guys who James was studying, as was Martin. And they'd been homebrewing for years together beforehand. And they were just so sick of where the beer scene was in the UK back in 2007. There's always been a huge brewing tradition culture throughout the UK, but unfortunately over time, as what happens everywhere, is these smaller, more unique local breweries, they're swallowed up by the big guys, and then everybody ends up drinking the same thing. So James and Martin were lucky enough to taste some of the amazing craft beers that were coming out of the US at the time. They were drinking, Sierra Nevada, Stone, the Ballast Points, and they couldn't understand why there was nobody over here making those same kind of beers. So they, being keen home brewers, they got together and they brewed some Punk IPA. And they were fortunate enough to meet Michael Jackson, the beer writer, and he absolutely loved Punk IPA, and he was just like, you guys should be doing this for a living. So they did. They went into production, and this is them at their first farmers market in Aberdeen. So at the time, they went to the banks. They managed to get £25,000 from the banks. They bought some nice stainless steel, and they set about brewing Punk. There was a couple of disasters along the way. In the first batch of Punk IPA, there was a mobile phone ended up there. James's car keys ended up, because this was proper, they were mashing in, did everything was by hand. Really, just homebrew on a bigger scale, essentially. So that first year, it was James Martin and their dog Bracken. And then it really shows into context where we came from and where we are now. That back then we were only able to brew just over 1,000 hectolitres of beer. And you can see in the picture here, that's the old setup that we used to have in Fraserburgh. So just in an industrial estate, essentially just an industrial unit that we were stuck some fermenters outside. And it was a wee bit challenging with those fermenters, because as you guys know, it gets pretty cold. So to make sure all the beer's at the right temperature, it was a wee bit tricky. So from there, moving on, this really kind of sums up what Brewdog kind of stand for. This is a quote that James said at our AGM this year. And I'm sure you guys can read through it. Everything for us comes back to what's in the glass and what's in the bottle. And that's true. We're so passionate about sourcing the right ingredients, making sure that we're working with the best. And really, we're not going to sell anything that we don't want to drink ourselves. And again, this is bringing it back to the kind of the roots craft brewing of making something a little bit more different, something that's not as easy to come by on the shelf. And again, for us, the brewing process, only using the 4 ingredients. Obviously, we have some really cool beers, like part of our Abstract series, or our Gold Award-winning Cocoa Cycle, which we add some coffee and some chocolate to. But the base of all our beers are just fine Scottish water. We're lucky enough to work with some of the best hop suppliers on the globe, forging a really close relationship with Yakima Valley. We go out there every year, make sure that we're sourcing the best of the yield that we can get. Malts, working again with, there's a few maltsters throughout Scotland. Obviously for our brand new beer, this is lager, working closely with German maltsters. And our yeast. We've obviously got our own house yeast brand, and we've been using Belgian yeast over the years, California ale yeast, all different types to help us get all of our styles of beer. So the brewing process, I'm not sure if any of you have given brewing a shot yourself. I've been a home brewer now for about 4 years, so it's part of the part that I really, really like is being able to, explain to people about brewing. So this is it broken down onto a really simplistic scale. So it basically outlines the 4 main processes of brewing and where we use each of the 4 ingredients that I explained earlier. So first up, we've got the mash tun there. You can see the kind of yellow on the diagram there. But this is where we're going to bring in all our water. We're going to heat up our water to around about 64 to 67 degrees. Then we're going to have chosen our malt bill. Malt bill is vital in deciding the kind of beer that you're going to make. Do you want to make a Pilsner? You're going to have to use some pale malt. Or do you want to use a really dark beer? You're going to have to use some more specialty malts. Maybe some chocolate malt or dark brown malt. So this is also how much malt you put in is also going to decide the strength of your beer, is going to dictate the colour. And it's also going to dictate how sweet the beer can be as well. So we're going to have it in the mash tun. It kind of gets to a porridge consistency with the water. And here we're allowing it to sit and we're releasing all those enzymes, which later on are going to be consumed by the yeast. And that's what's going to give us the alcohol during fermentation. So from there, we run off the hot wort and we run it into the kettle. This is the fun part. This is where we're able to choose what hops we want to put in there. So at Brewdog, we really love our hops. So we're really adventurous, but so again, using hops from all over the globe to flavour our beers. So first up, if we put hops in right at the very start of the boil, that's when we're going to extract all the bittering acids to get that really kind of, pungent, bitter, lasting flavour within the beer. And then towards the end of the boil, which can usually be anything up to an hour, that's when we're going to put in our aroma hops, so the likes of Simcoe and Amarillo. We're going to pop them in there, and that's where you get the big flavour punch as soon as you pop your nose into the glass. And then from the kettle, we run it off into our fermentation tanks. This process is usually around about 10 days for us. This is where we pitch our yeast as well. And then so this is where we're creating CO2, we're naturally carbonating the beer, and we're producing alcohol as well. From here, we then run it off into the conditioning tanks. Now, we've got 15 days written up there, but we've just produced our This Is Lager, and that typically matures for around about 30 days. So this process, we cold crash it as well, which means we don't have to bother with any pasteurization. We don't have any sterile filtering. We have a really cool piece of machinery in the brewery, which is called a centrifuge. So we're able to pass all our beer through there. So that acts as a way to draw out any little bits of hops that are still in there. So basically we want to retain as much flavour. We've spent a lot of time and effort getting all those flavours into the beer. We don't want to strip it out by using filters or anything harsh that's going to ruin the beer. So that's like a kind of really rough outline of the brewing process. It's very much like baking. If you can alter any part of any process there, and you're going to end up with a different beer. So super important to always write down your recipes, otherwise it's going to be hard to recreate the same beer. Hopefully we've got that down now, because the brewery's pretty good. Okay. Again, sorry, this was going to be a really nice little video taking you a tour through the brewery to show you, but I should say actually all of these videos are actually available on our website and on our YouTube channel. So if you are interested, you could go there and take a wee look for them for yourselves. Okay. So moving back through time, going to 2008. This is when we released our one of our most still iconic beers is Tokyo. This was an original brew of 18.2%. It's a Russian Imperial Stout that we aged over cranberries. We also added some jasmine at the whirlpool stage, and we aged it over some oak chips. So this is a pretty huge beer, pretty huge for back in 2008 as well. And it got us into a little bit of trouble there. You can see some of the headlines. Some people weren't too happy about it. They thought it was a lot of promotion around non-sensible drinking, but that's kind of really at the other end of what we were doing. We've always want to pack as much flavour into a beer and showcase to people that you don't need to drink a whole pint of it. We've actually petitioned to Westminster, the UK government, to enable us to serve smaller measures of beer. So for Tokyo, we serve that in around about 15 to 17 centilitre measure. So it's sensible for us. And we actually, because we caused so many headlines with Tokyo, we actually came back with our Nanny State beer, which is a 0.5%, very hoppy, really well-balanced, low-alcohol beer. So kind of shot back at them with that one. So you can see there, we're brewing just over 4,000 hectolitres of beer, and at this stage we've upped it to 9 people. We needed some help in working out the brewery. So we've got Bowman, he's our head brewer. He's still with us today, in charge of coming up with awesome recipes and just basically overseeing the brewery and making sure that we're carry on doing as we're doing. So, on to 2009, our core beer, Punk IPA, it's still making headlines in the UK, and it's doing really well for us overseas as well. So we're really starting to establish ourselves. We really want the beer to do the talking for itself, but some of you might have noticed that we do like to grab the headlines. And we realised that we have a lot of ideas, but we didn't actually have a lot of money to do it with. So a way to get around that for us was we decided we had so many super fans, so many people who wanted to be a part of Brewdog. So we decided to release equity in the company, and that's when we launched our Equity Punks 1. So back then you could buy into the company, essentially a Kickstarter campaign to help us expand. And from there we were able to add new fermenters, and it was also setting us up for launching our network of bars that we have as well. So you can see there we've gone up to 24 employees. These were guys who were helping us package, some more brewers. Really wasn't fair to have Martin and Bowman doing all the brewing at this stage. And in that first year we managed to get, just over 1,300 Equity Punks. Moving on to 2010, as I mentioned, we wanted to have a home for all the great beers that we were making. We had them in a lot of supermarkets, we had them in a lot of other local bars, but we really wanted to make a craft beer haven, somewhere where similar-minded people could come, enjoy the beers that we were making, and also give a platform for other local beers. A lot of breweries who they maybe can't produce enough to get it into a supermarket, so they're able to send us a keg, send us a case of beer, and we were allowed to give our customers and fans the opportunity to try it. So you can see up there in the top corner, that's Brewdog Aberdeen, opened back in 2010. Pretty awesome bar. It's kind of nice to make the pilgrimage up there every so often. They sometimes get the little backhanders of the nice beers straight out from the brewery, so some of the other bars get a little bit annoyed, but it's always nice to go up there. Can also see as well our hardcore IPA actually won gold at the World Beer Cup. That was pretty huge for us. Again, we were still relatively unknown at this point, so to take gold for our double IPA, it was awesome. And for those of you who haven't tried it, we've got it on tap downstairs, so please drop by if you'd like a wee taster. And also there we've got our Sink the Bismarck, which this was another beer that we kind of grabbed a lot of headlines for. At the time we were experimenting with higher ABV beers. Sink the Bismarck was our 41%, and that came off the back of Tactical Nuclear Penguin. These beers are taking it back to traditional brewing style of an ice bock, whereby starting with the beer and then freezing it, removing the water, and then being left with the concentrated fermented beverage. So Sink the Bismarck was pretty awesome, and we had a bit of an ongoing kind of battle for the strongest beers with a brewery from Germany. And then we kind of hit it on the head with our End of History, which was our 55% beer, sorry. So that's going on to a little bit more there. That's Sink the Bismarck that you can see in the middle, Tactical Nuclear Penguin down the bottom. We've not actually, it's been quite hard for us recently. We're still in the process of making Tactical Nuclear Penguin, but we have to take it down to minus 40 degrees, and we have to do that around about 4 or 5 times. And so we are starting off with around about 800 litres of beer, and then by the end of it we're only left with 200. So they really are really small batches of beer that there's a whole lot of effort that kind of goes into making them. So that's them all there. Some taxidermy in there as well. Oops. So moving on, fast forward into 2011. You can see our brew house, we've gone up to 26,750 hectolitres. Now this is still using the same brew house. All that's changing is that we're adding more fermentation tanks and we're brewing more regularly, to enable us to basically feed the demand of the bar, but also so many people were just after punk IPAs. So it still remains round about like 80-85% of what we brew at Brewdog. So we've gone up to 67 employees. That's obviously including the Aberdeen bar. And you can see there we opened in Edinburgh, a little bit later on in Glasgow, and then down in Camden as well. We had our first bar to kind of breach the border down into England. Again, to further aid this expansion, we had a second share release. So many people are always, with interest. Oh no, I missed out on the first share lot. When can I get more? So we went for it again. This time we raised over £2 million. So again, that enabled us to buy more fermentation tanks, improve the brewery, buy the pieces of kit that we really needed, and also to keep spreading our beer havens all over the UK. We're bringing our shareholders up to 6,567. We also held our first AGM as well, it was actually held in the Aberdeen bar. So it was a really small, really intimate gathering of people, with James and Martin explaining what the company's basically done with their investment. Here we go. So 2012. 2012 was a huge year for us, actually. We went up to brewing just over 40,000 hectolitres of beer. With all the bars opening, with increased production staff, more brewers, we upped our employees. We had 6 bars within the UK, and we also moved into our brand new brewery. Essentially, we were pushing the kit that we had in Fraserburgh to the limit, and with the funds that we raised from our investment, the equity punks, we were able to put it into designing a huge, awesome eco-brewery. And we moved a little bit south. We came closer to Aberdeen, so we're now situated in Ellen. And it's a huge state-of-the-art brewery. Everything's been designed specifically. Every time I go back there, there's more fermentation tanks. There's a new piece of kit added. So it really is it's a work in progress that we're continually looking. At Brewdog, we're never happy with where we are right now. We always want to keep going, keep doing something better that we can do. And you'll see there for the past 3 years, actually, we've won the fastest growing business in Scotland in the food and drinks industry. A lot of that is thanks to the reputation that we've built from within Norway, Sweden, Finland. You guys really helping us out, and back home as well. And we also launched Dead Pony Club. Dead Pony Club is a 3.8% California Pale Ale. Now, this is a beer that we had to work with really hard on. We're known for strong ABV beers, but we wanted to brew a beer which was going to be a session ale, but it still had to have that characteristic hoppiness that you would expect from a Brewdog beer. So the challenge for us was to make a beer which was well balanced. We wanted, to make a lower ABV beer, you can't add as much malt, otherwise you're going to have too much sugar. So it really was hard to make sure we had the great mouthfeel of a beer, which felt like it was stronger, and hoppiness, but it had the really low ABV. So this one, we really hit it on the head with Dead Pony Club. Hopefully you guys have tried it. I think it's available here, probably in supermarkets and other, some of the Horeca bars, restaurants, cafes, they will have it in there as well. Cool. So, last year, 2013, we brewed an epic amount, 70,000 hectolitres at the new brewery. And you can see the size in the background there, all of our fermentation tanks. These guys are permanently full, doing brews as often as we can. We also added to the brew house as well. We added a 5th vessel, which meaning it really increases how much we can brew and how often by giving us an extra space to run the beer off into. By this point, we're up to 187 employees, and we also opened our first international bar, which is Brewdog Stockholm. So this is, I don't know if any of you have made it over to the Stockholm bar, but it really is awesome. I did find myself one time in Stockholm, and I had, like loads of hours to kill. So it was awesome just to walk into the bar and really just feel like I was in a bar, like back at home. Super friendly staff, amazing beers, and it was in a really cool location as well in Stockholm. We also, you can see the picture there just on the bottom right hand side. These are some of our guys showcasing our #mashtag beer. We're really good at interacting with our fans. Basically, fans and our customers have given us so much over the years and really supported us that we want them to be involved pretty much in as much as we do. So we wanted them to design a beer for us. So every day we gave an option. So first day it was what malts do you want to put in the beer? Then we added what hops do you want to put in the beer? Do you want a twist on it? Shall we barrel age it? Shall we age it over something? And then finally the kind of style of beer that it would be. So the #mashtag, you can see there, it was it was lucky that it did kind of work out okay. It was a New Zealand hopped brown ale with aged over hazelnut and oak chips. So that's a pretty good combination to work with. So we're lucky it wasn't, some aging it over blueberries or something. I'm not sure that's going to work with a brown ale, but I suppose we could try it actually. We also launched Fake Lager. This was one of our first steps into launching a lager, making the lager style that, kind of defies what people are used to. It's not the traditional lager that we're so used to seeing now. We wanted to take it back to how Pilsners should be, proper Bohemian and German-style Pilsners. So we took it back there with Fake Lager. And this has proved so popular over time. Yet we were still having to make it with Pilsner malt. We weren't able to, with pale malt. But this year, I've already mentioned our This Is Lager. This is Lager is made with Pils malt. It's made with Hersbrucker, noble German hops, some Saaz. And we tweaked it a little bit by putting in some American hop, Columbus, for the bittering. But if you can get a chance to try This Is Lager, we should be launching it here soon. It's a really delicious, super crisp, very characteristically spot-on traditional Pilsner. Huh? No, unfortunately, we don't have it downstairs. We only launched it in the UK around about a month ago. So I'm hoping that you guys will see it throughout It's 4.7, so it should be able to make it into the supermarkets. So hopefully you guys will be able to try it soon. And you'll see at the bottom there our certified Cicerone. This is the Cicerone certification program. It's run by the American Institute, and it's really almost a beer sommelier training program. And it's really to make sure that people who are working within craft beer they're familiar with what they're talking about. They understand all the processes involved in brewing, in tasting beer, and also more importantly in something that's coming relatively new, in pairing beer with food. And this is something that all Brewdog employees now have the first level of this. Some of us went on to take the second level, which is the certified Cicerone. And in a few weeks' time, our James Watt and some of our guys from the lab are going on to do the Grand Master level. So I think there's only about 7 or 8 people in the whole world who have the title right now of Grand Master Cicerone. So hopefully some of our guys can get it and bring it back to Scotland and help basically just to show our enthusiasm and our passion for beer, and to pass that on to people and make them as passionate as we are with all our beers. So back to 2014, a little update of kind of where we are today. As I mentioned, our bar network has been growing. We now have international bars in Roppongi, Tokyo, in Sao Paulo, Gothenburg, soon to be Helsinki. And you can see one down there. That's not one of ours, but we thought it was cool. That's fake Brewdog Bar China. So, yeah, we'll take it as a compliment. That's grand. So we've now got over 300 members of staff. That's split between the brew house, production, and also throughout our bar network. Again, we released Equity Punks 3. That was last year. We had to close it early because we hit our subscription rate. And we've now got over 14,500 Equity Punks, which is awesome. And every year we hold an AGM for these guys. We invite everybody up to Aberdeen. And we have a huge big party. We talk a little bit business, but mostly it's about showcasing our new beers, some of our favourite local beers, beers from internationally as well. And we also hit our target of exporting to over 50 countries. So yeah, the world's got a little bit more craft beer now. Brewdog China. So our aims for this year were we wanted to up it again. So our target is to get 90,000 hectolitres of beer produced this year. Again, sticking with the exact same brewing process, all that's changing is we've added more fermenters. So we're having to brew more, we're brewing 24/7, all the time now. Brewing, like as I mentioned, a lot of Punk IPA is at the core of what we brew. But we like to mix it up with all our kind of special brews. We also, something which was pretty huge for us is James and Martin really struggled at the very start when we were starting up. And we got a lot of help through collaborations from US breweries. We were lucky enough to work with Stone, with Three Floyds, The Lost Abbey, Ballast Point. Those guys really helped us out, gave us direction. We got ideas from them. They gave us inspiration. So what we've decided to do now is basically support small and up-and-coming craft breweries. And the one that we've chosen, first of all, are called Brew by Numbers. These are guys from down in London, right now producing really awesome Saisons, Berliner Weisses, and they've also got a couple of porters as well. So if you guys get the chance to try any of their stuff, it's really spot on. And again, really small these guys are, so I'm not sure how long it'll take to get their stuff over here. You guys don't have it, do you? Brew by Numbers? No? Okay, well, it's really one to watch out for. The guys are awesome. Just 2 guys who are doing it right now. You can also see there some of the bars that we've opened up. We also opened up our first bottle dog. Bottle shops are becoming increasingly better at home, and they're stocking a wider array of American-style beers, of all kind of craft beers. But we've got the advantage that we've forged really great relationships with these guys. So we're able now to open up our own shop where you can come. We've got growler fill stations. You can get the best, freshest craft beer possible. Again, you can see there we're hoping to open in Berlin, Rome. Florence is already here, and Helsinki soon to come. We're also launching a trading platform for our shareholders, so if you want to get more shares, you can get more. So that'll be up and running soon. And we've also launched our new packaging. This is an idea that we've been really working on for some time now. And it was something that we didn't want to break away from the identity. We've spent a lot, and so many people are invested with the packaging that we have right now. Well, up until like 3 months ago. And it really represented where we were back in the beer scene. We had to shout quite a lot for people to notice us. We're still really small within the beer market, but back then it was even harder for us. So we've decided now to take it back and to really like handcraft our labels. But I've got a few slides about that later on. And we're also James and Martin have made a TV show, which is pretty cool. They're just about getting ready to go over and film like a 3rd series of it. So they've basically gone around the whole of the US, working with some of our favorite breweries, making some really cool beers. Again, I had a really cool video to show you some highlights from that, but it's not working. So you can find it on YouTube or Vimeo. Sorry. Okay, so the Dystopian Puppet Hobby Centre, also known as Fraserburgh. This is our old brewery right up in the northeast. As we moved out of there in 2012, we were still using it as kind of storage area for all of our cask and all of our barrel aging beers. But we actually let that go in the summer now, so we've moved everything, all production, all warehouse storage, everything is now contained down in Ellen. So it was a bit of a shame to see that go. Had a lot of fun times there. That's kind of where everything went back to, but, well, newer and better things in a newer, shinier brewery now. So I'll kind of go on to mention some of the cool things that we've done this year. I'm sure you've heard a lot about what we've done in the past. But this year was a pretty epic year for us. We were into the new brewery. We've also done some really cool things in terms of beer. So we've got a series called Hello, My Name Is, and this is a series that we've been working on for a few years. The first one that we brewed was called Hello, My Name Is Ingrid, and this was specifically for Sweden. Those guys there, our fans, they're so passionate about Brewdog, so we wanted to give them something back. So we brewed them a double IPA, and we aged it with some cloudberries. We've also done later versions of one for Scotland with brambles. We've done one for Norway, which Hello, My Name Is Metamaret, or Censored. And finally we made one for you guys, which was Hello, My Name Is Pavey. Right? Pavey? Yeah, nice one. So that's brewed with sea buckthorn. And that's available downstairs. If I know like these beers kind of sell out really quickly and they're only one-offs. So if you didn't get to try it, please pop downstairs and have a wee sample. And then we also brewed, there was like the Olympics, and there was a lot of kind of stuff that we thought was quite crazy that was happening at the time in Russia. Something which is fundamental to Brewdog is we believe in free speech, being who you are, and basically just living life to the full and how it should be. So we were kind of taken back by some of the stuff that was being broadcast in the newspaper about Russia and things. So we decided to brew a beer called Hello, My Name Is Vladimir. Some pretty cool artwork on the bottle. Pretty famous dude done up like Marilyn Monroe. It's kind of cool. And we sent Vladimir a case of this beer. We sent one over to the Kremlin, sent one down to London, but he didn't say thanks. That's cool. But you can see up there, we decided to donate a whole chunk of the proceeds to give it to organisations who help people who are repressed, and basically just to help them out and show that they've got our support. So moving on, again, this was Mashtag this year, again, all done over Twitter. And this year we brewed our red ale, which was a 9% imperial red ale. We add some blood orange to it and some lemon peel. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. I think we've got, oh no, sorry, we don't have it on tap downstairs. Sorry, I thought we might have. But if any of you haven't tried it, it is still available here in some of the Horeca chains. Furthering our love of hops, every year we bring out a series of beers called our single hop series. And this is kind of bringing it back to the roots of Brewdog, where every home brewer will know that when you're starting to brew, you want to become familiar with the hop flavours and how they interact with each other. So something that we started around about 4 years ago was we used the same base malt for all 4 beers, and then we showcased each single hop. So the first ones we done were our favourites. You know, we used Nelson Sauvin, we used Amarillo, Simcoe. And we've just gone on each year, always trying to use a broad variety. We've used English hops, we've used Southern Pacific hops, like Coatu there. Experimental 366, that's now called Equinox, it's made it to full production. Amarillo and Comet. These are a really great way for us as well to taste hops that we use all the time, such as Amarillo, to see how the new batch is tasting, to make sure it's not going to to make sure that all our beers basically are consistent. We can tell if we need to add more hops to the recipe or if we need to take more out if it's been a good year. So these are really important for us to, basically for ourselves, to find out what hops that we can start using in new recipes, but it's also a cool idea. And if you get all 4 of them, we sometimes release them in 4-packs. It's quite cool to mess around and make your own beers by mixing them all together. It's the same base beer, so it works. It's cool. Barrel aging, we love to do barrel aging, and it's something that we've done from the very, very start. You can see that throughout our abstract series. And more recent, these are 2 of our newest beers actually. For those of you who are coming to the tasting later on this evening, we have Blackjacks there, which is a bit of a twist on a traditional style beer. We don't really do things traditionally at Brewdog. We always like to mix them up, flip them upside down. So with this one, we made a black saison and we aged it in Pinot Noir red wine cask. So there's a whole lot going on in that beer. We also, you can see Dog C there. Dog C has now become our anniversary beer. It started off as AB4, as our Russian Imperial Stout that we aged with cacao and Naga chilies. And we've produced it every year for our AGM. We've had Dog A, Dog B, and Dog C. And these beers are just unbelievable. Coming in at 15%, it's really great to taste them side by side, and a lot of people are buying these and keeping them, and it'd be so awesome. They're going to keep for like way over 10 years, so pretty cool. You can also see Everyday Anarchy there. That's a white saison aged in Chardonnay cask. That's available downstairs. And also probably everybody in Brewdog's favourite beer that we've done this year is the Black Eyed King Imp. It's turned out, much as many Brewdog beers start, a little bit experimental, not really knowing what's happening. And we took a batch of, we split some Tokyo off, and then we aged it in some bourbon casks, and it's pretty special. So if you imagine our Tokyo with the cranberry port-like flavours, aging it over some bourbon casks, it's turned out pretty special. I also just mentioned about the 2014 World Beer Awards. This was actually coincided with the Stockholm Beer and Whiskey Festival. And we're pretty proud to say that we managed to pick up some awards there this year. 5am Red Ale, World's Best Amber Ale. Coco Psycho. Coco Psycho was part of our prototype challenge. We do this every year. We ask our brewers to submit 4 recipes. We make them, we distribute them, and then we ask people to give us feedback over Twitter, Facebook, any kind of online medium. And we gather in the votes, and the winner gets brewed, becomes our full-scale production beer. So Coco Psycho actually won that last year. It was closely followed by Jackhammer, actually, which is, Jackhammer was everybody in the brewery's favourite beer, so we have put that into full production anyway, because it's amazing. And you can see Libertine Black Ale become Europe's best black IPA. Really awesome for the black IPA. It's a style now that it's one of those styles that was trendy for a while, so it's so cool that we've managed to keep at it with our single hopped with Simcoe Libertine Black Ale at 7.2%. So moving on to kind of where we are again today. I've mentioned the new brewery, how we're nice and shiny, and we've got the bar in Aberdeen. But the one thing that we were really lacking actually was having a tap, having somewhere on site that you could drink the freshest Brewdog beer. So thankfully, just in the summer there, before our AGM, we opened up the Dog Tap. This is attached onto the brewery in Ellen. It's actually in the site of our old offices. We had a really nice vision that we were going to be able to be in our new offices for probably about 2 years. Pretty much lasted like 6 months before we'd outgrown them. So we covered the space in graffiti, made a really cool bottle chandelier, and we created the Dog Tap, which this is open every day. So if you're ever dropping into Ellen, then you should definitely go here. We run brewery tours now as well, so you can get a wee tour of the brewery. It usually lasts around about an hour, and then finish up with a couple beers, and then head off somewhere else unless you stay in Ellen. Alongside this, we split the old offices, and the other half now is taken up by our 10 hectolitre pilot kit. This is basically where we were towards the tail end of having Fraserburgh. We were using that for more experimental brews, using some wild yeast, creating blitzes, making our sour mash Berliner Weisses. And we've not been able to do that yet in our new brewery because we don't want to infect every brew that we make with Lactobacillus Brettanomyces. So we're going to contain that now, and we've got this little, basically our little play set where we can make smaller batches of beer and experiment. This is also great for doing collaborations with smaller breweries, so a really great way to get the guys up and get back involved. And this has been headed up by Bowman, our head brewer. He's going to take in charge of this. So it's going to be really exciting to see what we're able to produce, and I can't wait to start seeing more sour beers back out again. So I've already mentioned our new packaging. This gives you a little bit of insight into why we've decided to go with the new packaging. And we kind of felt that we've outgrown our the labels now, and it really wasn't an easy decision for us because we really have become attached to what it stands for, our branding and packaging. But we decided it was time for a change. We wanted to let our beer do the talking, and we So we went down to Manchester. We found a guy there who works solo, and he still practices the letterpress printing. So, like this is something which is an old technique. It requires a lot of passion, a lot of dedication and effort. And we felt that this was reflective of our beers. So we've gone ahead, and these are the prints that you can see there. And some of our new labels are, if you can go on the blog and see them, I'm not sure if any of them are live here yet, but we've just launched them back home back in August. So you can go on and this is actually the Punk IPA label. So obviously still staying with the same color, the same name, exactly the same beer, and just changing it up a little bit. So going towards the future there, you can see the Punk IPA in a can. This is something that we've been canning our Punk IPA and Dead Pony now for just over a year. Being a really great popular medium to use cans actually. And not only is it's more environmentally friendly for us, they're recyclable, they're lighter to transport. It's also excellent for the beer. A really great way to prove that there's no outside light or any lack of any oxygen that's going to spoil the beer. And it's pretty cool just to be able to pop open the can and you really get that burst of aroma as well. So we're hoping to, by March next year, have our brand new canning line installed where we'll be able to be canning across our whole range of products. We're also looking to open new bars within the UK, new international bars. We just want to keep going, making these kind of hubs for beer. We're also going to open Dog Eat Dog in London, which is going to be a food and beer pairing kind of focused, mostly on hot dogs, and we're going to try and like mix these up together and really bring together the concept of pairing beer with food. We're also looking to set up the 2014 Prototype Challenge. As I mentioned, Cocoa Cycle won last year, so really excited to see what we've got on the cards for this year. Call Up Fest 2014. This was a venture that we started last year whereby each one of our bars within the UK collaborated with their favourite local brewery. And I used to be the manager of the Glasgow bar, so we worked with Fine Ales just out at Loch Fyne. And we have our black IPA, Libertine Black Ale. They also have a black IPA called Sanda Black. And we wanted to kind of bring like two of our kind of favourite styles of beer together. But we aged it over with some chipotle chilies and also some ancho chilies. So a chili black IPA. We called it 48 Miles Later. It's 48 miles between our bar and Loch Fyne. So it's pretty cool. And this year we're just about to launch that. We're actually launching that tomorrow in the UK. So each bar will have all 16 beers on. So it's pretty epic. Really kind of small batch, really taking it back to the roots style of brewing. And again, we want to keep adding more and more fermentation tanks so that we can reach our target of 90,000 hex this year and even more so for next year. And this is this is just kind of my closing part really, just hopefully you've gained a little bit of insight, maybe a little bit more insight into Brewdog, kind of got the idea for what we do. That's our brewery, and if anybody's got any questions, I can totally answer them now, or I'm also on the stand downstairs at Diamond, where we've got Everyday Anarchy on tap, Hardcore, Dog Sea, Tokyo, and we've got Hello, My Name is Pavey as well. So if you want to come down and chat there, that's cool. Does anyone have any questions? Hello. Huh? Yes, of course. Yeah, it's just half an hour north of Aberdeen. We run tours daily from 5 until 8 o'clock and all day throughout the weekend. And then you can go and enjoy a nice beer in the Dog. That's actually the entrance to the Dog Tap there. And the main brewery is now just at the back. So, yeah, the yeast series. Yeah, I really hope so. The Unleash the Yeast series, it was really similar to do with our single hop series. Basically, we wanted to showcase the different styles of yeast that are available. So we used a California ale yeast, something we were familiar with that we use quite a lot. We used a German Weizen yeast, a Belgian Trappist, and also, what was the last one? American Pale Ale. Oh, my mind's completely gone blank. Sorry, anyway, we used these just basically to show off the characteristics of each of the yeast. And it was something that we would like to do again, but I don't think we would be able to use the same base beer because obviously to use the German Weizen yeast, it should have been, using at least 50% wheat beer. So we'll see, maybe we could do something, similar like that. So, okay, well, that's pretty much all I've got to say. Well, I've got a lot more to say, but I'm probably running out of time. So, as I say, please come downstairs and see me and enjoy the festival. Thank you.